Improvement often feels overwhelming because we imagine it as a dramatic transformation, a complete reinvention of who we are. But the truth is, true growth rarely happens in a single moment. It unfolds quietly in the background of our daily choices. That's why starting small is not just acceptable, it is wise. When you try to leap too far ahead, the weight of expectation becomes your enemy. Instead, think of your progress like the sun rising, not sudden, but inevitable. A small beginning is not weakness. It is strength under control. Many people delay change because they are waiting for the right time. They tell themselves they'll start next week, or when they feel more motivated, or when circumstances are perfect. But those moments rarely arrive. The only moment we truly possess is now, the morning you wake up. There is no need for dramatic declarations. Improvement begins with the quiet decision to act, no matter how small that act may be. The power lies not in the size of the action, but in its repetition over time. Imagine a person who simply stretches for 5 minutes each morning. It's easy to overlook. But over weeks, their body becomes more flexible. Their mind becomes more present. They stand taller. They breathe deeper. That is the quiet power of starting small. When you take one small action, making your bed, drinking water, journaling one thought, you train your mind to show up for yourself. That is far more valuable than chasing massive change you can't sustain. Small beginnings also remove resistance. The mountain of change becomes a hill, then a step, then just a breath. You don't need to write 10 pages. Write one sentence. You don't need to meditate for an hour. Try 1 minute. When you lower the threshold for action, consistency becomes possible. And with consistency, even the smallest habit becomes a force. You are building momentum, not perfection. Starting today with something small honors the truth that your future is shaped by what you do right now. You don't need to know the entire path. You just need to take the first step. That step could be as simple as waking up without snoozing your alarm, or taking one conscious breath before touching your phone. What matters is not what you do, but that you do it today. Because waiting for the perfect start only keeps you stuck where you are. When people think of progress, they often imagine a bold leap, a surge of transformation that instantly reshapes their life. But this mindset causes suffering. It creates unrealistic pressure followed by guilt when results don't match expectations. The truth is far more humble and far more powerful. Getting just 1% better each day is enough. It may seem insignificant in the moment, but the effect of that tiny shift, repeated daily, becomes unstoppable. Like water smoothing stone, the smallest actions done consistently create the deepest impact. Consider this: 1% better doesn't just mean doing more. It means doing something slightly more aligned with who you want to become. It might be one better choice, one deeper breath before reacting, one moment of patience instead of anger. These are not loud victories. They are quiet shifts in the way you think, move, and respond to the world. And yet, these subtle moments are what shape the fabric of your character. When practiced day by day, they become who you are, not just something you try to do. Mathematically, if you improve yourself by just 1% each day, you will be nearly 38 times better over the course of a year. But beyond numbers, the philosophy itself is more important than the math. It tells you that you don't need to pressure yourself into massive change overnight. The 1% mindset gives you permission to be human, to grow slowly, steadily, and without shame. It shifts the focus from performance to presence, from trying harder to choosing better. There is a kind of peace that comes with knowing that small is enough. When you stop rushing for dramatic change, you begin to appreciate the subtle improvements, the clarity in your thoughts, the stillness in your breath, the steadiness in your posture. This awareness is growth, not because it's impressive to others, but because it's honest with yourself. 1% is not about ambition. It is about alignment. And when your actions align with your values, even the smallest change carries great meaning. The power of 1% is in its simplicity. It is not complicated. You don't need a perfect plan, a full schedule, or external approval. You only need a moment of honesty to ask yourself, what can I do today that is just slightly better than yesterday? It might be choosing to listen instead of interrupting, or going to bed 5 minutes earlier, or replacing judgment with curiosity. When done with intention, these 1% shifts accumulate into a life transformed, not through force, but through quiet consistency. In a world obsessed with fast results, speed has become a kind of illusion of success. We celebrate quick transformations, overnight breakthroughs, and instant achievements. But true progress, the kind that endures and reshapes your inner world, doesn't come from rushing. It comes from moving in the right direction, one steady step at a time. Speed may impress others, but direction builds peace within. When you are aligned with your values and purpose, even slow steps carry deep meaning. There is danger in moving quickly without clarity. You may be covering distance, but if you're headed in the wrong direction, each step takes you further from where you truly want to be. This is how many people wake up one day feeling lost. Not because they didn't work hard, but because they moved fast without awareness. Choosing direction over speed means asking the harder question. Where am I going and why? It's not about getting there. First, it's about making sure there is worth arriving at. Right direction requires stillness, reflection, and self-honesty. These qualities are often seen as passive in a fast-moving culture, but they are the foundation of wise action. To move with intention, you must slow down long enough to hear your own inner voice, the one that's quiet but true. It's easy to be pulled into the noise of others' expectations, but direction is deeply personal. No one else can define it for you. Only you can choose the path that aligns with your inner compass. Choosing direction over speed also requires humility. It means accepting that progress may be slow, and that's okay. It means not needing to compare your pace with anyone else's. When you walk your own path, rooted in who you truly are, your steps become lighter, more grounded. You're no longer running toward an image of success, but moving from a place of purpose. That shift alone can transform your entire experience of growth. Even when progress feels invisible, if you are walking in the right direction, you are becoming who you are meant to be. The world will often try to measure your worth by how quickly you can achieve, how much you can produce, or how far you can go in the shortest time. But a meaningful life is not built by how fast you move. It is built by how true your steps are. Keep your eyes on the path, not the clock, and trust that even the slowest step forward, taken in alignment, is progress. Discipline is often misunderstood. To many, it sounds rigid, harsh, even oppressive, something imposed from the outside to control behavior. But when understood correctly, discipline is not punishment. It is one of the highest forms of self-respect. It is the daily act of honoring your potential, even when comfort tempts you to remain the same. Discipline is not about forcing yourself. It is about choosing yourself again and again, because you know your growth matters. When you practice discipline, you are telling yourself, I am worth the effort. Waking up early, moving your body, controlling your reactions, finishing what you start. These are not just tasks on a checklist. They are expressions of care. Just as you would nurture someone you love with consistency and attention, discipline is how you nurture your future self. Every time you choose discipline over distraction, you are casting a vote for the person you want to become. Self-respect is not found in moments of ease, but in moments of decision. When you say no to an impulse, when you step into discomfort with purpose, when you keep your promises even when no one is watching. That is where confidence grows. Discipline builds an inner foundation. You begin to trust yourself. You no longer rely on motivation, which is fleeting. Instead, you rely on commitment, which is stable. You don't wait to feel ready. You act because you said you would. This kind of discipline is not rooted in shame or pressure. It is grounded in love, the kind of love that sees who you are and who you can become and chooses to bridge that gap with consistent action. True discipline is gentle but firm. It doesn't yell. It doesn't demand perfection. It simply shows up quietly, reliably, like a friend who never abandons you. It is the quiet repetition of meaningful choices, even when no one claps for you. As you build discipline, you begin to notice how it touches every part of your life. You eat more mindfully, speak more clearly, rest more deliberately. You become less reactive and more responsive. Discipline creates order where there was chaos, clarity where there was noise. It doesn't restrict your freedom. It expands it. Because once you are no longer ruled by your impulses, you are free to choose with purpose. And that is what true self-respect looks like: a life lived with intention, shaped by discipline, and filled with quiet strength. Your future is not something that suddenly arrives. It is quietly shaped by the things you do every day, often without thinking. These small, repeated actions form your habits, and your habits in time become your identity. You don't rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems. And the systems you build are made from the habits you choose, consciously or unconsciously. That is why true transformation does not come from dramatic effort, but from the humble repetition of right action. Think of habits like seeds. At first, they seem small, insignificant, not worthy of much attention. But once planted and nurtured, they grow roots, and eventually they shape the entire garden of your life. Whether you're aware of it or not, your daily behaviors are always growing something: a health or illness, peace or stress, clarity or confusion. Every choice is casting a vote for the kind of future you are creating. In this way, nothing is neutral. Every habit has a direction. What's powerful about this truth is that it gives you control. You don't need to predict the future. You only need to plant better seeds today. You may not be able to change everything at once, but you can choose one habit to build, one pattern to break, one system to strengthen. Over time, these become your default, not because you force them. That is the number R, because they've become natural. The most powerful habits are not the ones you think about, but the ones that eventually require no thought at all. The beauty of habits is that they protect you when motivation fades. You won't always feel inspired. You won't always feel strong. But if your habits are in place, if they've been built with care and patience, they will carry you through. You will still show up, still breathe deeply, still take that walk, still choose presence over distraction. In this way, your habits become your safety net. They catch you when your energy dips and remind you of who you are. It's easy to overlook the small rituals in your life, how you wake up, how you speak to yourself, what you consume, how you close the day. But these patterns are powerful. They are the structure that supports your becoming. If you want to predict where your life is headed, look at your habits. If you want to change that direction, start with just one, because in the end, it is not the sudden efforts, but the quiet, repeated ones that shape not only your future, but your very self. We live in a world that celebrates noise, loud victories, public announcements, visible achievements. These are often mistaken for the only signs of progress. But real growth doesn't always make a sound. In fact, the most meaningful progress often happens quietly, away from applause, beyond recognition. It's the kind of progress you feel, not flaunt. A subtle shift in mindset, a slightly calmer reaction, a bit more awareness in the moment. This quiet progress may not be seen, but it builds a strength that doesn't depend on outside validation. When a tree grows, you don't hear it, but beneath the surface, the roots deepen, the trunk strengthens, the branches expand toward light. In the same way, your personal evolution may not always be dramatic. You may not even notice it at first. But over time, the small shifts accumulate. You become more patient in conflict. You begin to pause before speaking. You feel gratitude in moments where you used to feel frustration. That is the number R. Else may comment on these changes, but you will feel the difference within yourself. Quiet progress is powerful because it's sustainable. It's not built on external motivation or fleeting emotion. It's built on presence and intention. It's what happens when you keep showing up. Even when no one sees, even when the world is silent, this kind of progress requires trust. You must trust that your efforts matter, even when there's no instant reward. You must trust the process, even when the outcome is unclear. And most of all, you must trust yourself to keep walking one silent step at a time. There's a calm confidence that comes from this way of growing. You stop chasing recognition and instead focus on alignment. You no longer measure your worth by how loud your progress is, but by how true it feels. And when you live this way, something changes inside you. Your sense of fulfillment is no longer tied to performance. You become grounded in your path. You are no longer swayed by comparison, no longer distracted by the noise of other people's journeys. In this space of quiet progress, you begin to notice the details of your own transformation, the way your breath slows when you feel overwhelmed, the way your posture holds more presence, the way your thoughts are less reactive, more reflective. These may not look like success from the outside, but they are the foundations of a deeper kind of strength, one that cannot be shaken by criticism or inflated by praise. It is a strength built slowly, quietly, and fully from within. Intensity can be impressive, but it is rarely sustainable. Many people begin their journey with a surge of energy, a burst of motivation that pushes them to change everything at once. They wake early, train hard, meditate for hours, overhaul their routines. And for a few days it works. But when life returns to its normal pace, when stress creeps in, When fatigue arrives, that intense effort often collapses. What remains? Usually nothing, because what was built was not grounded in rhythm. It was built in a rush. True growth doesn't demand that you do everything now. It asks only that you do something every day. Consistency is often less dramatic, but infinitely more powerful. It is the quiet commitment to return again and again to your practice, no matter how small it may seem. 5 minutes of mindfulness every day will always take you further than an hour of meditation once a month. A short walk daily will build more strength and stability than an intense workout done only when inspired. Consistency builds habits, and habits shape identity. It is not what you do once in a while that defines you. It is what you do regularly. To be consistent is to embrace imperfection. You will not always feel ready. You will not always do your best, but you keep showing up, and that is where the transformation happens. The value lies not in how much effort you can exert in a single moment, but in how gently and persistently you return to your path. Consistency is a kind of devotion. It means honoring your intention even on the days when motivation has gone quiet. And the more you show up, the more natural it becomes, until discipline becomes a kind of ease. Intensity often comes from ego, a desire to prove, to impress, to achieve quickly. But consistency arises from humility. It acknowledges that change takes time. It honors the process instead of forcing the outcome. A consistent person learns to be patient. They no longer rush progress or chase perfection. They focus on the repetition of meaningful action, trusting that the results will come in their own time. This mindset removes pressure. It replaces anxiety with clarity. There is something deeply freeing about letting go of intensity and choosing consistency instead. You don't have to exhaust yourself to grow. You don't need to chase every peak experience. Instead, you create a rhythm of daily return to your values, your breath, your body, your goals. You no longer seek transformation in flashes of energy, but in the quiet work of returning again and again without drama, without noise. Over time, this rhythm becomes your foundation, and from that foundation, everything else begins to rise. The morning is more than just the beginning of a day. It is a quiet space between rest and movement, silence and noise, stillness and action. It is a moment untouched by urgency, a rare opportunity to meet yourself before the world asks anything of you. This space is sacred not because of how long it lasts, but because of what it holds. Each morning gives you a fresh start, not a restart of your tasks, but a reset of your awareness. How you enter the morning sets the tone for how you carry yourself through the day. When you rush into the morning, you often carry that rush with you. You may move quickly, but without direction. You may accomplish tasks, but feel disconnected. But when you approach the morning with intention, even for a few quiet minutes, something changes. Your breath deepens, your thoughts slow down, your presence returns. This does not require a complicated routine. Even a single moment of awareness, opening your eyes with gratitude, stepping out of bed without haste, can turn the morning into a ritual rather than a routine. There is something powerful about choosing calm before chaos, stillness before speed. The world will eventually pull at you with emails, responsibilities, deadlines, distractions. But before that happens, you have a chance to anchor yourself. Morning becomes a doorway to self-alignment. You don't need to do everything. You just need to do one thing with presence. A short stretch, a few lines in a journal, a silent cup of tea. These small, sacred acts become signals, reminders that you are choosing to live deliberately, not reactively. The beauty of the morning is that it belongs to you. Before anyone asks for your time, your energy, your attention, you can offer it to yourself. This doesn't require hours. It requires intention. The way you speak to yourself in the morning, the choices you make, the energy you carry, all of it quietly shapes your mindset for the hours to come. When the morning is respected, the rest of the day is less likely to spiral into unconscious momentum. You've already chosen how to begin, and beginnings have power. Treating the morning as sacred is not about adding more to your schedule. It's about subtracting noise. It's about creating space, however small, to listen, to breathe, to remember who you are before the world tells you who to be. In this stillness, you reconnect with your values, your direction, your peace, and when you carry that into your day, everything else begins to take shape around it. The sacredness of the morning is not in what you do. It's in how you do it with attention, with care, with quiet strength.